Andy, why is your door missing?
I was making sure you couldn't explode through it.
Why are there so many holes in your walls?
I was making sure you couldn't explode through those spots.
Why are there holes?
To prevent further structural damage, you always explode, appear, or punch your way through a structure in our home, be it door, wall, support beam. You came up through the toilet one time. This was a preventative measure.
You could just ask me not to explode through things.
Stop exploding through parts of our home.
Oh, I'm cool with that. But what about Okra?
Can we just start this?
That's right, everyone. We're back again for our review of all the games we played in the second half of 2021.
Every day I wish a little harder that we could come up with a shorter name for this. Anyway, yes, we're back with that.
Quick reminder of the rules. This list will include games that we have not yet already nor plan to review separately, played a significant portion of and/or beaten, and that came out between July and when this video was recorded. Now that we've reviewed our arbitrary rules, Andy has done his ceremonial sigh. There it is, and Okra has come to see us. Oh, no, wait, she was immediately scared and ran away. Oh well. Let's start this up with... Blaster Master 03 is the continuation and finale of the Blaster Master 0 series, which started off with an excellent, nearly perfect game. The sequel stunk of monkey butt, and now we're here at the threequel. As you play through this rehash of every single point from the last two games, you begin to wonder if they were running out of ideas as bosses return, characters with the same motivations return, and it all just feels like we're playing a really shitty version of the first game again. While the controls remain somewhat similar from the first game onward, this feels like too many steps down to warrant ever playing it. If you only ever played the first, never move on from there. The first is the best one, the second is awful, and the third is by far the worst.
Was there at least a satisfying conclusion?
No! In the end, you are stripped of all of your abilities you spent the game collecting and are forced to fight a boss battle in a version of your tank from the very beginning of the very first game.
Wow! No thank you.
My feelings exactly.
In what I can only assume is about 2.5 hours of skillful confusion, we have Boomerang X. This is another Devolver Digital published game that challenges you to throw your glaive, not sure why it's called Boomerang X when it's clearly a glaive, in every which direction to kill enemies and survive in several lock-in arena-type areas. You'll take on storm-causing camel creatures, flying squid creatures, and a dragon for some reason.
The confusion part comes in when the story gets involved. This could have been a fun concept sans the story because all it does is convolute the existence of the game. You're already stressed from your various boomerang, glaive tricks and trying to skillfully dodge enemies, and now you have to bend your mind to understand the story? It didn't make a lot of sense to me, transported the character at random, and introduced an element that only served to sour the experience overall. The soundtrack is pretty great though.
Certainly so. Moving on. Clone Drone and the Danger Zone will not be included in our year-end review because we are planning to give it a long-form video review at a later time. Thank you.
Lo and behold, the game we bought simply because the title theme was too catchy ended up being not great.
Yeah, but at least you could do flips and spins and hear engine revving noises for the duration of each race. Oh, and unlock colors and neon lights for your truck, your midsize sedan, and even your dinosaur.
Cruise and Blast is kind of a grind. You earn some cash for each race you win, and your friends earn cash separately from you, so they buy their own neon lights and color options and such for each car. It's kind of an interesting system that doesn't require profiles of any kind.
Castle Crashers.
Oh, and if you thought the title theme, flips you can do, and revving noises would get you in the mood for a balls-to-the-wall racing game, prepare for the races. These action movies in motion will straight up confuse and fascinate you as you fall through the Earth's core, drive by two Yetis fighting, and drive out of the way of a flaming UFO. Unfortunately, there are only about 10 tracks, with very few elements changed between them. A single raceway may be used for the dinosaur theme, a Yeti dodging theme, and the alien invasion theme. It gets to the point of, once you've seen one of them, you've seen them all, and only serves to bore you from there.
But that fucking title theme!
Oh no, I can feel it coming!
I desperately wanted to dedicate a separate video review for this, but I just ran out of time, so here we are. You take control of Flynn, a boy given the power of red in a world where evil things that are not red are taking control of everything.
You had me at red.
This kickstarted adventure game will take you through several environments in a Super Mario Bros. 3 style world, and level progression in which you can't go backward, which I thought was cool, to fight monsters, defeat gods, and stop the spread of the Scourge from an evil man stuck in a mountain.
There are several memorable characters from this short little indie game, from Yomble, collector of the artifacts found in almost every level, to this other blessed child with the power of green. Unfortunately, Flynn is another silent protagonist, which means character revelations come on their own, and Flynn is basically an audience to his own adventure.
Overall, it's a fun game with powerful attacks, things to collect, and a very easy-going way to complete it 100% if you feel the need to. You'll be able to finish this off with relative ease and use some powerful attacks along the way. I recommend this title. Metroid Dread is a game I did not enjoy. While I'm a big fan of exploration games akin to Metroid and Castlevania, no, I will not say the dumb word that combines both words, this is one that felt too constrained in too many ways to offer a valuable experience. You are corralled in each and every direction, very often with little choice. Your supplies are only ever barely enough to take on the next challenge, even with each missile chamber and health bar you acquire. The bosses will always make you feel unprepared as they rip right through your tactics and provide multiple phases to fight through. It's a disappointing experience that I was very excited for. The Dread suit is absolutely spectacular looking, and the story had me interested to play more, but ultimately, this is a game for the 2D Metroid fan, and I have never played one. My only experience is Other M, which I enjoyed, and this was a whole different experience for me. I can't say I enjoyed it, specifically the final boss. This is another game where I don't mind not fighting it, and I will probably watch the ending at some point on the internet. Metroid Dread is a fine game for the Metroid fan and for the adventure fan, but it will constantly provide challenges that prove too great for those that don't know the series, let alone the game's secrets. I am disappointed that I couldn't like it, but I'm glad that it exists.
So, why was James given a sword with a slice that ranges the entire screen? Who gave him this ability? Did they not know the danger they just unleashed onto the world?
Holy shit, Blade is fucking solid. At its core, it's a side-scrolling adventure game where you play as Leaf, a character who has been blessed with a fucking awesome sword that cuts edge to edge of the screen. You'll run slowly left to right, slicing enemies in twain by flicking the right control stick in every which direction. You'll also earn special abilities that can give you more ways to slice by collecting these sigil things.
Apparently, a very large tower-like structure descended from the sky from an alien race. The world is taken aback, but not at all worried as theories fly, people become apathetic toward it, and nihilism never looks so good. Apparently, you, as Leaf, must ascend the tower and stop it from taking Earth. I think.
Unfortunately, the final area and final boss stopped me in my tracks and left little wiggle room for mistakes, which I tend to make a lot of. And instead of punching holes straight through a wall, I prioritized my patience and well-being and stopped playing before I reached the end. I may not have full knowledge of the story, but I can tell you the gameplay is solid, the mechanics work great, and no game will ever let you have a sword this powerful again.
What about that whole Dark Souls thing, where when you die, you start back at the beginning and gotta collect your money from where you died again?
That's one of the faults, but I'm not gonna let it ruin my good time too much.
In this short adventure game, you'll take on the role of Asta, a shield-throwing girl on the search for her sister in a destroyed part of the world. Along the way, you'll encounter tough enemies, aliens, complications centered around another stamina bar, and revelations that will guide your way.
I've been waiting for the remix version of this game for a while, and now that it's in my hand, I was left a little disappointed. The shield throwing in combat is excellent, way better than I expected it to be, but it leaves a lot to be desired story-wise. This game plays like a prequel, which may be the point, but I didn't feel like we had a complete story at the end. After a hard-fought, several-layered battle, you just kind of continue your search. It felt a little hollow. At least the shield throwing is still great. All these years to improve motion controls, and stabbing is still the worst thing ever.
Play with button controls.
I tried, but they felt unnatural. I was much more comfortable swinging like an idiot. Anyway, this Wii seller is back to celebrate The Legend of Zelda's 35th anniversary. That's right, no collection of 3D classics or a limited edition box with a soundtrack of Zelda's best hits over the years. Just this and some Joy-Con. Woo!
Don't forget the $25 DLC in the form of the amiibo that has a very helpful feature in it.
I did not. Anyway, this is Skyward Sword. But again, the motion controls are improved, I think. The textures are higher quality, I believe. And recentering your reticle every 4 seconds is still a pain, I can confirm.
Full disclosure, I did not play this game. I was not a fan of Skyward Sword then, I am not a fan now.
I thought it was fine. It's a fine game with a lot of fine characters and fine mechanics. It adds up to a just fine adventure that will hold you until the Breath of the Wild sequel releases sometime in 2030.
Hey, how come you get on my case about Hyper Light Drifter when it gets console releases, but you can just do the same for this game?
Because it says Definitive Edition, so it's different.
Oh, so I get the third degree over a technicality. Okay. I see how it is.
That's right, Songs for a Hero is now definitive and out on consoles. You can experience the sing-song adventure from your favorite position on the couch, with your favorite controller and your favorite snack nearby. Find medals, dodge dangers, and defeat intimidating bosses all over again in the definitive version of Songs for a Hero.
Far as I can tell, the definitive edition is the base game plus all the DLC released from all regions, which includes Songs for the Dead, Samba for a Hero, the epilogue episode, and the Hat DLCs. All in all, that's kind of a good deal, but not not worth hearing James boast about how good this game still is.
It's still good.
I get it.
And you play it on your Switch.
I know.
From the comfort of your toilet.
I get it! Another Mothership Tales of title to kick off the series' 25th anniversary. After the dumpster fire Zestiria was, and the rule-breaking rewriting adventure Berseria was, let's see if Arise is any better.
It isn't! I was ready to give up by hour 4.
Hey, at least it's pretty. And the battle system is good.
That does not excuse the terrible additions and subtractions this title introduced to the series. The CP meter for one, which acts as this overbearing stamina meter that impedes your progress throughout the entire game. There's an overabundance of campfires just because it runs out so fast. Because of this, CP meter refilling items are outrageously expensive. Oh, and no more money from random encounters. That right there was the fucking kicker. Absolute bullshit.
So, you prefer a broken economy. You prefer having millions of gold with not an item to spend it on because you've maxed out your healing item inventory?
Yes, absolutely! That gives me the security of knowing if I make a mistake, I can use a gel to fix it, or give back CP to my stupid CP meter. There's even paid DLC that gives you discounts on healing items, which brings the price down almost 40%. That's fucking crazy!
Well, I'm not on board with that DLC thing. That's insidious. Arise wasn't a bad game to me. Sure, the skits are the worst they've ever been, and everyone repeats every line of dialogue until everyone gets a chance to say it in their own words. But the battle system was actually good this time. They even improved the AG system this time around so you don't spend so much using your abilities and attacks.
There doesn't need to be an AG system. Just go back to the TP meter and bring back multiplayer. Seriously, just bring back the systems and camera and mechanics from Vesperia. Those are the absolute apex of the Tales of battle system.
True, but this is what we have. The CP meter, no encounter-based money grinding, and the AG system. So although I agree with you, I still think Arise did pretty well with what it provided us. And yes, bring back multiplayer.
I did not like Arise. In fact, I'm so excited to never talk about it again after this review was done that I'm getting a little giddy reading this line because I'm almost done with it. Just like Zestiria and Berseria, I'm so excited to forget this game's mechanics and story so I simply remember not to play it again.
I thought it was okay. I was really taken aback by the lack of co-op play, but it was an okay game all things considered. But like James, I'm excited to never have to return to it. I'll commit this version of the AG meter battle system to memory for future reference, but not much else.
We're done, we can move on. Unsighted might be one of the best gameplay loops of the year, perhaps of the decade. Unsighted is a tale about android and robot life taking over for us after humans foolishly messed with powers that are definitely beyond our grasp. Instead of life being preserved on Earth, a meteor landed and began bestowing android life with a conscience, thoughts, and feelings. This is an interesting take on the future of our planet that simply seems like a ploy to reintroduce human life to a planet that never really needed it. The story stands as one of the weaker elements of Unsighted, merely acting as a bridge for the excellent combat. In fact, play this game for the combat if you need one reason to. It is outstanding, fast-paced, rewarding, and above all, powerful. Hits on both sides are powerful, strike hard, and feel in-fucking-credible. I would erase my memory just to experience the combat in this game all over again. No boss felt too overbearing, enemy hordes were fun to dispatch. I could go on for days about the combat in this game. Yeah, there's a stamina bar, but it can be extended with power-ups and such and only ever bothers the combat in the beginning. There's also a mode with a Majora's Mask-like stamina bar for each and every character in this game when not playing in Explorer mode. Again, ignorable when in Explorer mode. Unsighted is a game with excellent combat, a cut above, likely the best of the decade. The story is fine, character interactions are fine, and the resolutions are fine, but the combat, holy shit. More, please. In a game that's all pop and pow and no actual content, we have Radio Viscera. This game about escaping a shady corporation's underbelly using wonky, stretchy physics and a pressurized air gun to throw enemies into death traps is actually awful. It is devoid of fun until you unlock the shoot to kill mod, otherwise shoving enemies into meat grinders and blades is just a pain in the ass. The physics engine almost never pushes enemies in the right direction, and every one of them has a gun that hurts you and takes one chunk of your 3-chunk health bar away.
The shoot to kill mod only unlocks in Ratchet & Clank skill point style, where as soon as you have enough, you unlock the cheat for it, making the slog to get there even more treacherous. Not only that, this game seems surprisingly incomplete. For the elaborate environments and world that may invite platforming sequences, there are so many areas where you just fall through the world to your death, specifically late game.
Radio Viscera is a game that severely missed the mark, needed several months of polish, and desperately needs an update to the physics engine. It's a miss for now, but it may be worth it in about a year or two. I'm pretty sure the main character's punch attack could give Saitama a run for his money. Look at that, man just flew across the room. One punch, that's all it took.
Well, that's all you have the stamina for. The Chameleon is a game about a shape-shifting humanoid character desperately attempting to escape a building full of dangerous people. The player character is this one-punch-kills-all thing with enough stamina to transform and run, but to only punch once.
You'll have to outmaneuver simple enemy AI, absorb these giant heart things to get more abilities, and use those new abilities to outmaneuver even more simple AI, all leading up to a finale that has a fun little twist at the end. All in all, it's a fine game that's worth its price in gameplay and punching. Longing to play a true One Punch Man game? This is the closest we'll get for now.
A game with both beard and blade in the title has to be interesting. I can imagine a swashbuckling adventure where pirates of lesser beards than your own are taken down in an attempt to capitalize on the booty they stole, only to add it to your own after having defeated them. Or a swordventure game where each boss is gifted bladed facial hair, akin to that one Dexter's Lab episode. Or
it's none of that. None of what you think this game is what this game is. You step into the boots of a shepherd with a beard named Branson.
That's not very swashbuckling.
This gets less and less swashbuckling as we continue on. You see, one of Branson's sheep swallows a valuable pearl. This group of swindling goblins, named the Smugglins, cannot tell which one it was. They steal every sheep and Branson chases after them. On the ship, Branson meets a wizard that grants him the power to escape the ship and begin his adventure to save his sheep.
The wizard mentions controlling air and talking to plants, but Branson gets the power of beard. This is the least swashbuckling adventure that ever swashed a buckle.
The beginning 2 worlds of the game would prove you wrong as they introduce the interesting abilities you have, allow you to power them up, and give compelling reasons to complete each level during the day and night cycles. It's every world after that that would prove you right as they fail to expand your abilities, don't live up to the first 2 worlds, and straight up play games with you that hinder your progression. You have to play red light, green light through one level with none of the power-ups you spend the game collecting to progress. It's seriously one of the biggest letdowns in this game.
So all in all, not even close to presenting the adventure the title could have capitalized on?
Basically.
Ah, finally. Our final game in our list before our Game Awards begin. Ys 9 Monstrum Nox.
Ys 9 is a game I was overhyped for 2 years. I pre-ordered the Switch Special Edition as soon as they were available and waited for this. This is a game that could not have possibly matched the expectations I set for it. With Ys 8 having blown my mind in 2018, I was looking for that experience again. Unfortunately, the open-wide adventure it presented was strangely compacted and boxed for Ys 9, despite controls being improved, traversal being expanded, and characters being more fleshed out. It was a fun experience, but it could not match my way overhyped expectations.
Funny you say fleshed out characters, because some of their abilities seem rather useless, specifically diving into the ground to pop out somewhere else. That one was an odd addition that really didn't profess the whole phantom theme each character seems to follow. Why not just turn invisible?
Yeah, it's not ideal. Neither are the ginormous plot holes the story has after it introduced the main twist. You begin questioning plot points and the serendipity of character meetings and such, the same thing that made me poke holes in Ys 8's story. Even if both have excellent combat systems and stories that need patching, at least Ys 9 didn't have Hummel.
Yes, I hear he's the worst.
He's the worst! Anyway, Ys 9 is pretty good. Go in expecting another fun experience, but plot holes the size of waffle trucks.
Would you believe those are all the games we didn't review separately, don't plan to review separately, have played a significant portion of, and came out between July and December of this year? Because I would, and I was only here for the recording part. Anyway, now that that's done, it's time to give out our Game Awards. As we enter this phase of the video, we like to go down the list and let you guys know which games are up for the awards this year. This includes every game that came out in 2021 that we actually played, including
.cat or period cat, we're still not sure which it is.
.cat Milk, I'm sticking with .cat.
Alba, a wildlife adventure.
Apple Knight.
Astalon, Tears of the Earth.
Astro Aqua Kitty.
Beard Blade.
Beast Breaker.
Blaster Master 03.
Boomerang X.
Beep, beep. Chicory, a colorful tale.
Clone Drone in the Danger Zone. Blast.
Flynn, Son of Crimson.
Kill It With Fire.
Lieblade.
Mario Party Superstars.
Metallic Child.
Metroid Dread.
Mighty Goose.
Metopia.
Persona 5 Strikers.
Potentia.
Radio Viscera.
Rogue Explorer.
Rogue Heroes, Ruins of Tassos.
Say no more.
Shantae.
Shattered, Tale of the Forgotten King.
Shield Maiden, Remix Edition.
Skatebird.
Sky, Children of the Light.
Skyward Sword HD.
Smelter.
Songs for a Hero Definitive Edition.
Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury.
Tales of Arise.
The Chameleon.
2D and Top D.
Turnip Boy commits tax evasion.
Undermine.
Unsighted.
WarioWare, Get It Together.
Within the Blade.
Ys 9 Monstrum Nox.
Now that we've gone through that fun, long list, it's time for the awards. Our awards include our own individual versions of worst, okayest, and best games, as well as 4 other awards such as Worst Game Mechanic.
Gimme That Art Book.
Recommended.
And Better With a Friend.
Let's start from the bottom, shall we? The Worst Game Award, a treasured and important award to give out, one that mars a game's reputation for years to come, and we've given it to some awful ones over the years. Origami King, Kingdom Hearts 3, Just Shapes and Beats, Icon's Battle Arena, and more. Now we get to add 2 more awful games to that pile. It's getting pretty big, but here's another. Skatebird. This Kickstarter-funded Tony Hawk ripoff is such a waste of resources that I'm 100% sure it was meant to be delayed for at least another 2 years. This is an awful game with buggy mechanics that barely work, and this plagues the entire game from riding your board to doing tricks. This easily earns my Worst Game of the Year award in spades. I will admit to donating to this game out of interest of its mechanics and a want to see it made, but I wouldn't have minded waiting another 2 or 3 years for it to reach an at least playable state. This is unforgivable.
James always picks games that make him viscerally angry at the sight of their logos. I tend to go for games that underwhelm on such a level that considering playing it again makes me retch a little. My version of Worst Game of the Year goes to 2D and Top D. In a game that professes to find the balance between 2 puzzle-solving dimensions, why does it only ever feel like one dimension is meant to rescue the other? Every single puzzle is one player going out of the way to rescue the second player so the puzzle can continue. It's tragically underwhelming. This would probably work better as a demo or as an alpha of the concept. I certainly hope this was a testing pool of sorts, because this might make an enticing sequel someday. This is an extremely underwhelming experience that really only disappoints the 2-player team and will bore the single player.
With those out of the way, it's time to present our okayest games of the year. The least offensive experience to the senses, and one that won't leave a lasting impact by any means. You played it, you completed it, you moved on, you don't think about it too much. My version of this award goes to Ys 9 Monstrum Nox. For those surprised, don't be. It's an okay game. Ys 8 is the definitive RPG experience, and I will fight that to the death. But that means Ys 9 had expectations it couldn't hope to fill. It had to have better characters, story, and gameplay, which it did not by any means. The only improvement over its prequel is the ability to climb walls, and even that only made completing the game a little more difficult. Other than the mechanical improvements such as wall climbing, characters, side quests, and the fun felt very lukewarm. Not necessarily bad, but not better. Also, this will stand as another Ys game that made me dislike hearing another complicated scientific or psychological term. It's a fine game, that's all it truly was to me.
Another concept where James presents a very surface-level understanding while I express a more nuanced idea. Okayest game. One that did everything right but didn't go far enough. What game embodies that? Alba, a wildlife adventure. Beyond the very agreeable message of nature preservation and the gameplay loop a la Pokemon Snap, this is a game where you can walk in fully expecting not to have your mind blown. You'll want to complete it 100%, but you won't rave about having done that. This is just another tick mark on the very easy checklist the game has for you. But what it does very well and in a short amount of time. It provides a great bridge between releases that won't wow you and doesn't waste your time. It's just a fine game and one of the best of its kind. I just wish it went a little further, you know? Did a little more. Oh well.
Before we present our Best Game of the Year awards, we should probably do our other 4 awards, you know, just to build up the tension.
Like our games of the year aren't already obvious.
First up is the Better With a Friend award. This award goes to the game that had the best multiplayer this year, and considering this was a year with WarioWare, Clone Drone, and a Mario Party, there's some stiff competition out there. Which one kept Andy and I both plastered to our seats until the end, providing challenges and fun that entertained our brains? Considering how different Andy and I are, that's no easy feat. This award goes to Rogue Heroes: Ruins of Tassos.
This may surprise some of you, but this game has great multiplayer. There's different classes to cater to each player's individual playstyle with different stats and abilities. There are rooms in each dungeon that will allow the puzzle-solving brain and the fight-first, solve-puzzles-later players to each have their moments of glory, and respawns are generous enough so each player isn't left with not enough gold after each death. This was a fun game from beginning to end, specifically after unlocking each weapon, each class, and paying for the bomber class, which only expanded the ways James can bump me out of the way so he can get treasure before me.
Worth it.
Our next award is the Gimme That Art Book Award, a new award that goes to the game we need the art book for, and considering the plethora of different art styles in our game list, a few of those could have won this award, instead of baiting you like James.
Can you stop dissecting my presentation style, please?
Okay, fine. The Gimme That Art Book Award goes to WarioWare Get It Together. This one seems fairly obvious. WarioWare games have always had a sense of eye-catching style to them, from the very first installment all the way up until this one. I mean, they have to with how much attention each microgame commands, but this one took it a step further by making each character into this chibi-style avatar, each with a different defining ability and adorable look. You can't tell me an art book of this game doesn't interest you. Even the backgrounds and the glitches have interesting designs. It all feels like peak Intelligent Systems design work and proves they continue to make fine content even in modern standards.
Our next award is actually 2. Andy and I will be giving our own versions of this one, Recommended Award. This award from each of us goes to the game we heavily recommend you play even in 2022 and beyond because of how good it was, the influence it could have, or just how downright unforgettable it is. My version of this award goes to, this should be no surprise, Unsighted. I cannot stress this enough. Play Unsighted. The story is fine, but the combat and gameplay are more than enough to overlook it. This game will make top 10 of the decade lists when we come to the end of the 2020s, and that is a fact. Yes, for the combat alone if it has to. Highly recommended.
My version of the recommended award goes to Shantae the Seven Sirens, which I will include because it got an update in 2021 that added modes and more difficulties to make it a better experience. The original was the definitive action platforming experience that should appeal to the wants and needs of every Metroidvania lover. However, the update added more modes that bend the rules of gameplay for an easier and harder experience if you want, which expand the options for further replayability and recommendation. Play Seven Sirens, whether it be on the perfect laid-back mode or in any of the new rule breaker modes. I still recommend it.
We finally get to give away my favorite award. We've been doing this award show for several years now, and this one is still my favorite one to give away. Worst Game Mechanic. It goes to the same thing every year, I have the same tagline every year, and I get to say it with more vigor every year. Worst Game Mechanic this year goes to hard to earn in-game currencies, battle passes, and loot boxes because, and join in if you know the tagline, loot boxes are shit. Currencies that constrict gameplay and battle passes that scrape your wallet are lumped in there as well because each of these are predatory and invasive aspects of games that are awful and deserve this award each year. We may never see them finally meet their end because of how greedy AAA gaming has become, but that means we'll always have this award and we'll always be able to give it to the same things each year.
Notice we added battle passes this year. Who knows what we'll add next year?
Now that our worst and okayest awards have been doled out, our other awards now have their recipients, it's time to give away our final awards of the night. Best Game of 2021.
Our best games are usually the cut above the rest, the ones that appeal to our own specific tastes the best, and can differ wildly due to our different tastes in games. Honestly, I'm a little surprised James's didn't go to Yeast 9 considering how excited he was, but surprises are best saved for award shows. Speaking of surprises, James and I are giving our Best Game of the Year awards to the same game.
Clone Drone in the Danger Zone.
Say what you will about this voxel-based arena combat game, but it is an excellent game. Having been playing it for more than 5 years now, I have gotten to watch it grow from a 10-level inspiration to a full-fledged online bloodbath. The concepts explored in its earliest versions have become staples that influenced and were explored in the now full release. There's even an epic story to experience.
Clone Drone has somehow remained the endless, uncomplicated fun it began as. Not only that, it has quite a lot of content in it for such a simple concept. There's Twitch mode for PC players, specifically for streamers where viewers can summon robots to fight and kill with or against the streamer. There's multiplayer modes which allow you and your friends to take on endless mode together online. There's even challenge modes which let you earn trophies to gloat about to your friends and rivals. It's a spectacularly large game for such a small start and is constantly and consistently getting updates. Doborog has created a phenomenon that is now available on PC as well as your console of choice, and there's even a level editor for you to create and upload your own Mario Maker-esque nightmare levels. It's a big game with a lot of fun to be had, and it rightfully deserves the Best Game of 2021 award. Well, that was a lot of fun. And it's always fun to release a video about 2021's games deep into 2022. Hopefully you saw some of the games you played get the recognition or the ridicule they deserved. Tell us what your favorite games of 2021 were in the comments, and be sure to share this with other gamers on the planet. We want them to know our unflappable opinions and for them to yell their own at us. Thank you again for watching, and we hope you had a great start to your 2022.